The bearings are ready to go in. And I'm going to show you what they look like when they go in. They are packed in grease. They have a yellow grease in them. And I'm real careful when I put them in, but remember, these are not M1 Abram tank bearings. They're a little bit bigger than weed eaters. So when you go to put them in, it's not really that hard to do. And you see that I have my cylinder here, my piston all cleaned up, ready to go. They came with the kit. My crank and my other parts are laid out. This is my back transmission. I'm going to change the gears on, because I'm always exploring with that. Now here is a close-up of the bearing in place so you'll know what it looks like. The important thing about this is that when the bearing is tapped in, what you really want to be careful about is that you don't nick the edges here with your mallet or whatever you use to put it in. The way that they do it in the shop, the way they do it in the manual, is they have this large steel round punch, and it fits all the way around here on the end, and you just tap, 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 and taps it in. But if you'll notice how far the bearing sticks out of the case. Okay, if you've never done this before, the way to tell if the bearing is in solid is while you're tapping it in, what'll happen is some of the bearing will go in more than the other. It'll be a little bit off-sided, just a little bit. So then you just go to the other side and put on your little washer and tap down on it. And you tap all the way around, nice and easy. And it'll go like ting, 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 ting. And once it's seated right where it's supposed to be seated, it'll go dung. Just a real hollow, dull thud. And you'll know that it's seated on that. That's just a little trick from when I've been doing it. And this is the other side. You can see that where the bearing has seated and it's up a little higher. You see the writing, the Japanese HX NTN. Well, there's like two different kinds of bearings you can buy. And it does not matter if the writing is on one side or not, or that doesn't matter at all. All you want to get is that you want to get that bearing seated. It'll go ting, 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 and then dung, and you're done with it. Now, what I do if I have a spun bearing, which it happens in these little rigs when someone doesn't take care of them, is I will put a little bit of JB Weld on the outside here, just a tiny bit, the 24-hour stuff, and then I'll pound the bearing in. Then what I'll do is I'll run just a small little nib of it right around the outside here. Remember, there's no oil, it's all clean and everything. And that has really helped my bearing problems. Instead of having to take it to a shop and having them shim in some very expensive stuff that I can't afford. And here's the other bearing. Now remember that these bearings are going to be the ones, this is the money shot. These are going to be the ones that are going to be used for the crank. All of my work is done. All the areas are cleaned out of any kind of debris. There will be nothing that can get down in here. So, and I'm not going to pull these bearings out again. There's no reason for it. We're just ready to go on to the next stage. And the same here. You'll notice how much junk is in those holes, and there's nothing, because I've just learned to keep things clean. Okay. Then we have, these are the tools that I use. It's a very simple way of doing it. We have this is the flywheel side of the crank. This right here is where the oil pump would have gone, and this is where your variator goes, right here. And if you'll notice that this hole, not hole, but this, if you'll notice that this shaft right here is larger in diameter. I think this is like a 10 here. It could be, this could be a 12. And this could be a 10. But the small side right here fits on this side. And this smaller one right here, remember that it's threaded inside there. I should have had this. It's threaded with about a 10 millimeter 12 to go there. And then we just pull one side of the crank inside the case, and then we pull the other, and the cases slowly come together. And then you have your piston, which goes on at the last thing. And of course I use, these are some of the things I use. And it's very cheap but effective. I use denatured alcohol in order to take care of any greasy surfaces that I may need to put some glue on or clean with. And I will get a little bowl, and I'll take my Q-tips. I don't know what you call them in other countries. We call them Q-tips for some reason. And everything is cleaned out, and I just wanted to put them there and show you. I use a MotoSeal Ultimate Gray gasket maker for this area right around here, like I said previously. Once I get the one side in for my crank in, then I will carefully take a Q-tip and use the gray MotoSeal and put a light coat. I'll rub it in all the way around here and all the way around on the other half, because we want an airtight seal, because the motor is an air pump and it cannot have any leaks at all. Then I'll use my blue thread locker, or you can use red, and what I will do is, after I get the cases together, I will use that on my cylinder studs to hold it in the case. And here is what that looks like. And you can do all this by hand. It's no big deal. Now we start the process of pulling the crank through the cases. Yeah, I like to put a board underneath it. And what I will do is take my crank. Let's see if we can get this bigger here. Okay. Oh, come on. I will take my crank and start to pull it through on the variator side. Now, I've come to think of it, I should have done it through the other side, but that's a whole nother story. Now, what you can do is, you'll notice that this gap right here, when it gets seated up against here, inside here, that this pulley weight will be exactly parallel or flush with this side of the case. Once you get it close there, you have to take your rod and lift the rod all the way up and make sure it's in this area right here. Otherwise, your rod will pinch against the engine case, and it's not good. Now here's a good look at the other side, and you can see I'm a painter. I use a lot of that for painting. I'll take the I've already got the plug in here. Okay, the plug is in there where I want, but I have not put my JB Weld on it to seal it, and it has to be sealed. I take my small tool and put it in the where the seal is going to go. There are no seals in here. That's the last thing we do. Then I'll get my my wrench, which will hold. It will hold the bottom here. Okay, this holds this. It doesn't turn it. It holds it. What I do is I turn this, and I turn this like this. Okay, and the more I turn it, the more pressure it puts on the crankshaft on this end and pulls it through the case. And you've only got maybe 3/4 of an inch. So if you go nice and slow, and all of a sudden it'll go thunk and you're in. Okay, next video.